My name is Peter Moyers and I'm Chief Mechanic on the single-seater cars here at Silverstone. First got involved in GT Academy in 2009. Probably like a few people, I was kind of sceptical, gamers and what have you, thinking how the heck can a race driver be found from this life? As a mechanic, you know, when you put a lot of time into the car and then it goes out for what is primarily going to be a novice driver driving the car, sometimes it can be frustrating when you have, you know, stupid accidents. Probably the worst damage I've seen is to the front end of a GT4 specification 370Z Nissan in last year's GT Academy. All front suspension was absolutely wrecked when the guy ran out of what talent he had and modified the Armaco barrier in the process, probably costing £10,000–15,000 worth of damage. The free race 370Z cars, obviously full roll cage, 6-point full race harness, fire extinguishers obviously. Those are the main differences from the standard road 370Z Nismo. I mean, this is a classic example of a novice driver making a very novice mistake. Basically, I would imagine that this clutch was damaged through either two things: over-revving the engine, or probably more importantly, missing a gear and then ripping all the linings of the clutch apart. So now, obviously, the only way to fix that properly is, you know, gearbox out, new clutch plates in, and away we go.
So far, the worst damage I've done to a car was probably in Dubai, my first international race, when after a great stint, when I went from 4th to 1st, a tire appeared just in front of me in the main straight at more than 200 km, and I hit the tire just in the middle of the car, and I've destroyed all the cooling system, all the front body. Yeah, I think that was the worst.
And there was a race at Brands Hatch, which I was on pole position. I got a bit of a bad start and I was 4th, and then a Swiss driver, as we were going on to the Grand Prix circuit, tried to pass me, but he actually just tapped my rear left wheel, which actually then sent me head on into the barrier. And it was the very early days of carbon fibre, and you have to put a lot of glue into the carbon fibre to make it stiff, which is what you need for a racing car. So when it actually went head on, the whole front just exploded, and it sort of actually broke all the way back to roughly where my knees were. So it spun around and actually went head on the other side of the track when my legs were hanging out the front. Doctors always said possibly I'd lose my left foot, because it actually more or less severed off. So it was quite, I say, quite brutal.
You have to have everything, you know, full of your heart, so to speak, you know, to become a race driver. Jan in particular, I would put pretty close to the young lad who I used to run in Formula Ford, a certain Irishman, Eddie Irvine. I just think Jan is just incredibly special, and he drives from the heart. He listens to all the team, and this is absolutely critical for a young driver to progress up the ladder.